Alright, what is up guys? Losomaniac here, and welcome to a video that no one's gonna care about, so I can make it anyways. The reason I say that is because no one really cares about the topic. Understandably, because it's not gonna happen, but I feel the need to talk about it because I enjoy talking about this franchise. So I want to talk about um, Fallout New Vegas companions and their designated factions for Fallout 4. And what I mean by that is if they were implemented into Fallout 4, just excluding Eddie and Rex because they wouldn't have opinions. Who would the different companions side with? Now, I am gonna go in order based off who you come across, but I am gonna save one for last because it may seem obvious, but it's kind of not, and I'll explain why. So I'm gonna start from Good Neighbor all the way over to Jacobstown, because that who shows up last. So I guess Raul would be the first one. I would definitely think that Raul wouldn't work for the Brotherhood of Steel since they are against ghouls. Um, Personally, for me, sorry, I need some water. Personally, I think that maybe Raul would like the Minutemen, and the reason that is because it seems something in his character to side with the Minutemen. They're all about people, all about making sure people have a good life. People live happy, protected, secure, and that's what Raul was doing with his late sister Rafaela. Was he wanted to keep her safe from all the dangers of the nuclear devastation. So personally, I do think Raul would be a big fan of the Minutemen. That's pretty much it. Maybe I was gonna say maybe the railroad, but not as much. Maybe he thinks that what they're doing is a good thing, but maybe just not up his alley, in a sense. So yeah, I would definitely say Raul sides with the Minutemen. Next is Cass. Now this one is one of the trickier ones. It's Cass and Boone to me are the difficult ones, and I'll explain why in a moment. Personally, I think Cass would be good with the Brotherhood, and the reason that is kind of the connections and similarities between the Mojave factions and the Commonwealth factions. For example, I kind of picture the Minutemen being like the followers of the apocalypse of the Commonwealth, in a sense that, in a way that if the followers of the apocalypse fight for what they care about, they, I wouldn't say they don't really as a whole, mostly because of the fact that during the Battle of Hoover Dam, if you make the followers of the apocalypse support the NCR, or Mr. House or Yes Man for the Battle of Hoover Dam, Julie Farkas says they aren't fighters. So I would say that morality wise, I will say the Minutemen is, and this is all morality purposes, this isn't technical standpoints, because that's what some of the companions follow, is morality and kind-heartedness and whatever. If it was technical, then my list would be completely different. um, so yeah, personally, I would. And Cass isn't really a big fan of the other factions, or the minor factions like the Brotherhood of Steel, um, and the Followers of the Apocalypse. She's more of a fan of the NCR. Now, they aren't enemies with the Brotherhood of Steel. That is something I'm very familiar with. And that is something I completely understand because every time I side with the NCR, I always make peace with them. Um, so maybe she'll find the Minutemen too sappy. Maybe the railroad a bit too weird or whatever. Because in that, from that point of view, I kind of picture, I, I kind of picture the railroad being sort of like the Mojave chapter of the Brotherhood of Steel. You know, they're very cautious. They're trying to survive, do the best we can, or do the best they can. Although I will say the railroad is more morally pure as opposed to the Mojave chapter of the Brotherhood of Steel. If you guys do Veronica's Quest, you guys know exactly what I'm talking about. They only care about themselves, while the railroad cares about the synths. So I will say that from that standpoint, I do think that the railroad does have a one up on the Brotherhood of Steel in the Mojave chapter. But I do think Cass in a way would think that they're it's she may find it a bit weird to help fake men or whatever, or fake people or whatnot. So that is something to take into consideration there. Um, and I mean, she may not be a fan of the Institute. Plus, I think that she's more of like a military supported type person. If you chat with Cass, she talks about how she'll beat the fuck up out of you if you disrespect the NCR. I feel like that would kind of go both ways with the Brotherhood of Steel in Fallout 4 as well. So yeah, this took way longer than explaining about Cass took way longer, but hopefully you guys understand what I'm talking about now. So next is Boone. Boone is definitely another difficult one. He wouldn't like the Institute because of what they do with their creations and slavery and whatnot. Again, morality standpoint, Institute treats their creations like slaves and whatnot. That's something Bill would definitely be against. I do feel like that since he is an NCR member, he would definitely be against the Brotherhood. But again, that does come into consideration that maybe he'll work with the Railroad or the Brotherhood of Steel. Yes, while the NCR are enemies of the Brotherhood of Steel, I don't think that necessarily he would be against working with them, because as opposed to someone like the Minutemen, where he could help others, but that just seems a bit weird. And if you kill, and by the way, if you kill an NCR member with Boone as your companion, he pulls your side. He's like, hey, look, don't do that. They have flaws, sure, but I work with them. So I will say that maybe I feel like I had a good reason. I completely forgot about it until now. I feel like he would work with the Railroad because of what happened with Bitter Springs and how he felt terrible about that. I feel like in that sense he both ways would go with synths, like they're mistreated or whatnot, they're massacred or whatever. So from a moral standpoint, yes, Boone is a retired military person, but I do believe that in a sense, Boone would be working for the Railroad because of his quest. I forgot to remember to forget. But again, that does put into question whether or not how you choose to finish that. If you choose, which I'm not going to go over because his morals are still the same either way, you know. He still feels bad about what happened. When he does say it was a miscommunication, he doesn't necessarily agree with that. So I do say, in a sense, Boone would be fit for the Railroad because of his sympathetic nature. Now I am gonna save Veronica for last because that one I have gone over it over and over, and it's a lot of you guys may think like, oh, Veronica is gonna be with the Brotherhood of Steel, but I'm gonna save that one for last because there's a lot of details to pick out with that one, so I'm gonna skip him. I'm gonna skip her. Whoops. Next is Arcade Gannon. Arcade Gannon, I feel like would be again a Minuteman character. The reason for that, did I talk about him already? If I did, I'm absolutely sorry. If not, well then, awesome. So I feel like since he is Enclave in a sense, he would be against the Brotherhood of Steel, just pretty obvious. He's all about helping people, and that I think that also includes feral ghouls or not feral ghouls, just non-feral ghouls and synths. Consider the fact that maybe to Arcade, a human is a human. He even says if you put him into slavery with Caesar, I know I shouldn't put one's life above another, but to Caesar, I'll make an exception, or something like that. So the only person he refuses to help is Caesar or Caesar. So I do feel like, in a sense, that maybe he would be more sympathetic towards synths and ghouls, so or non-feral ghouls. So that leaves the Brotherhood out, or that I feel like that also leaves the Institute out, because Arcade may see synths as people, but the Institute sees them as robots. Again, I don't know. I don't make the game. This is just something I love to talk about, because I love talking about this franchise so much. So I will say that overall, I think maybe the Minutemen would be a good one for him, because of the fact that Minutemen are all about helping people, no matter the cost. Um, yeah, I talked about Arcade. How did I talk about Arcade first? Or early on, whatever. So, yeah. um, oh no, I didn't. I was just describing the different faction levels. So yeah, I do think Arcade would be good with the Minutemen. Because it's all about helping others and all that, and that's what the Minutemen do. Not to say that the Railroad doesn't; they just have their main focus on synths. And like I said before, on why the Railroad is the best faction, which I'll need to change, because I wanted to go at it from a morality standpoint as opposed to a technical standpoint. I did say that if you decide to work with the Minutemen, if you do enough railroad quests and issue the evacuation order, you can still work with them. So I will say that, in a sense, he could be interested in both, but for sake and convenience, he'll be perfect for the Minutemen. Next, and I think finally, before I move on to Veronica, is Lily. Now, there's a few things to mention here, which is that it all depends on Lily. I don't know if you guys consider Lily and Leo to be apart, or separated, because if that's the case, then Leo would definitely work with, like, the Brotherhood of Steel or whatever, and then make. But personally, even though the Brotherhood of Steel is probably against Nightkin, since they are basically super mutants, just a more aggressive version of super mutants. But that's not the point. Personally, I do think Lily would be all for the Institute. And the reason that is because she was an assassin for the Master's Army. I did do research on that. She was a spy or an assassin for the Master's Army, which means she would be perfect for doing coarser stuff. So, sorry, I thought someone was coming in here. So I do feel like maybe she would be good for something like that. The Institute. To be honest, I barely use Lily a whole lot, so that's one I don't understand. But I feel like, from what I hear about her, she's mostly fit for the Minutemen, but I think she'll work perfectly for the Institute. Hunting down unwanted synths, spying on others. Basically, she could be a part of the SRB if she wanted to. But that's something I'll leave up to you guys. Who do you think Lily would be a part of? Personally, I do think the Institute, because she would enjoy all the fancy stuff there and whatnot. And I don't know. I'll leave that up to you guys. Personally, like I mentioned, Institute, she'll be a perfect spy and assassin. Next, now let's head back to the 188 and let's talk about Veronica, because this is where things are going to get tricky here. Let me explain. So yes, you could say she's going to be a part of the Brotherhood of Steel, but there's more to it than just her heart and her working with the Brotherhood of Steel. Because like I mentioned before, Cass is all for the NCR, which happen to be enemies of the Brotherhood of Steel, but I did suggest that she would be a part of the Brotherhood of Steel, because she's not all for she may not be all for the ways of the Institute or the Railroad or the Minutemen, but she may enjoy the Brotherhood. Now, this does take into consideration how she feels about people. She definitely loves to help people. If you do request, she recommends either she stays or she goes with the Followers of the Apocalypse, which I mentioned before is all about helping people. Now, um, if you don't look at it that way, then Brotherhood is Steel, 100%. But I do think there is more to her than just her being a part of the Brotherhood of Steel. If you do her quest, she talks about how they're gonna die out soon enough, um, and she wants all this stuff to make life better for not only her but her family and whatnot. And the Brotherhood already had that figured out. Um, but again, if you take her to the Old Mormon Fort up in Freeside, and if you haven't started her quest, that's one of the dialogue options. She'll say something like, "These guys have the right ideas" or something. Meaning she understands and she likes what the Brotherhood or what the Followers of the Apocalypse do. Um, but maybe something happened. Maybe she wanted to stay in the Brotherhood, but ever since the crap that happened with Christine Royce and Father Elijah with her, maybe she's just like, maybe it's time or whatever. She knows the flaws of the Brotherhood. I feel like she would fit perfectly with Lion's Brotherhood of Steel from Fallout 3, which segues into a person that I think would be, which kind of helps me out with this, the Scribe. Some of you guys may not know what I'm talking about. The Scribe, for some of you guys who play Fallout 4 and have come across this person, then you guys know. The Scribe was a person who, or a scribe of the Brotherhood of Steel under Lions, who left once Maxon came into play because he thought that what Maxon was doing was a bit much. And he didn't feel comfortable working under Max. And have I been saying Max? Who's been working? He didn't feel comfortable working under Maxon because it was he was against, because Maxon was against the reason that the Scribe signed up. It wasn't about helping others. It was back to the Brotherhood's original goal, which was preserving technology, and I guess apparently committing mass genocide on a bunch of different innocent people who do not deserve it. I'm not going to talk about it. So, excuse me a moment. So then the Scribe left, and you can pick him up at any settlement given certain stipulations, and then he can work for you. Pretty good stuff. Personally, I do feel like that is something Veronica believes in, helping others, but without going to the extreme. Yes, well, even if you finish her quest and make her move on to the Followers of the Apocalypse, if you blow up the Brotherhood of Steel bunker with her, she becomes hostile. So, with that, I will say that to an extent, while she does feel for the Brotherhood of Steel, she may not be all for with their beliefs. So, with that being said, I want to say she necessarily works for the Railroad, but she definitely doesn't like the Institute. So that one, again, that one's pretty sticky. Personally, I thought she would be good for the Railroad because while she does like helping others, I do feel like she would limit herself to a certain to a certain group of people. But now that I think about it, maybe the Minutemen would be a good one for her. Again, that's depending on how you want to look at it. Personally, I look at it as, yes, while she does have the Brotherhood in her heart, she does want to help others. And so she looks to the Minutemen for that goal. There has to be one I'm missing. I'm trying to remember. There is not a single one I'm missing. I'm not doing DLC companions because those are different. And they don't have moralities. It's just their own thing. You know? Does that make sense? Yeah. I don't know why I'm talking to you like I'm talking to you. I'm just trying to fill up for time, I guess. I don't know. So yeah, that is my picks for who I think the Fallout New Vegas companions will work for if they were in Fallout 4. Do you agree with my list? Do you disagree? Again, this wasn't for like a technical standpoint. This is from like a morality type thing. Because if it was from a technical standpoint, then I would definitely would say that Arcade is for the Brotherhood of Steel, because of something like that. If Veronica would be for the Brotherhood of Steel, Cass wouldn't have anyone. Boone wouldn't have anyone. Or maybe the Brotherhood of Steel, Lily wouldn't have one. Raul wouldn't have one. So I wanted to put something on the table. Um, do you agree with my list? Do you disagree? Let me know in the comment section down below and why. I'd really love to hear from you guys. That's why I do these sort of discussion videos, because I love to hear from you. So yeah, that is all I have for you. I do have a video planned um, tomorrow. I do want to do the reverse end of this, like all of the Fallout 4 companions into Fallout New Vegas, or the Fallout 4 companions with Fallout New Vegas uh, factions, if I haven't said that already, because I want to make sure. It's better to be sure than to say something wrong or to say some stupid shit. So yeah, and then I have like an update for my channel, which I won't be uploading until Monday, because I I won't be home alone until Monday. I sh- Although I will say uploading tomorrow would be a bit sticky. Again, I am in a different location, so I may not be able to upload the Fallout 4 companions and New Vegas factions until maybe Monday or maybe Friday. I'm not sure. I definitely do want to get something out, even though I will be returning back to my main apartment tomorrow. So if you don't see any video on Friday, just know that's why. Or okay, by the time you're seeing this, I would have uploaded this on Friday, but as I'm recording this, it's Thursday. Um, so I definitely won't have a video out by tomorrow then, because I won't be home alone, and I don't want my dad knowing I have this, because parents are so awkward with their kids' stuff. So yeah. Anyways, do you guys agree with my list? Do you disagree? Do you think there was something I missed? Um, do you think maybe I had the right idea with who they should work with, but just kind of portrayed it the wrong way? Like, yes, Boone would agree with the railroad, but you kind of went for that direction. I would have went it with this direction as to why he would work for the railroad. Or tell me why you think they would work for who you think they would work for, and why. And I challenge one of you to give me a reason as to why Veronica would not side with the Brotherhood of Steel, and who she would side with, and why. That's a challenge, because that was the whole point of it. I feel I feel like that's why I left Veronica last, was because I didn't want to make it obvious. Like, oh, Veronica, because she's a part of the Brotherhood of Steel. That's not true. That wouldn't work, because it's fucking dumb to say that. Um, in my opinion, at least, I just think it's dumb to say, oh, Veronica, because she's already part of the Brotherhood of Steel. The Brotherhood of Steel and the Mojave have different ideals um, than in the Commonwealth, or the East Coast Brotherhood of Steel, because the Mojave chapter basically says if you have laser weapons or plasmas, then you basically surrender all your stuff. But the Brotherhood is a bit lenient on that. You're allowed to have power armor whenever. If you own a laser weapon or a plasma weapon, they aren't going to take it from you. Um, so I do think that maybe the Brotherhood is Steel. So keep that in mind. Just because Veronica is a part of the Mojave chapter of the Brotherhood of Steel may not necessarily mean that she agrees with the East Coast chapter of the Brotherhood of Steel. Something to think about. I don't know why I did that. I've been watching too much this one YouTuber who does that. So yeah, I have a lot of shit I want to talk about. Hopefully by the time whenever this video is up and I'm making another video, then this video will be, or I will be making videos back at my other apartment, or not my other apartment, but the other apartment, the main one that I use for most of my videos. Um, so yeah, again, closing this off one last time. Do you agree with my list? Do you disagree? Tell me why not? Again, if I went a certain direction, or if I had the right idea, just went in a different reasoning as to why. And of course, explain or say who else Veronica would work with good reasoning. Don't just be like, because she loves technology, she would work with the Institute. Now, that's she's not for technology like the Brotherhood are, so there's no way she could work for the Institute. Um, so yeah, leave your comments down below. Let me know what you thought. If I understand this is one that no one really cares about, but that's why I enjoy these making these videos, because someone does. Or maybe someone hopefully does. Um, so yeah. Let me know what you thought in the comments down below. Like, subscribe, all of that. I'm Losing Maniac. Peace.